Good evening, everybody. How is everybody doing this evening? I hope that you had a wonderful day and that everything was well, that you got out and had a chance to enjoy the good weather. I did, had a ball today, got out and did a little bit of shopping, got ready for my show for Thursday and picked up a couple of things. I think you're going to be excited or you're going to be curious about what that show is going to be about. You know, I'm talking about May Rose Cafe on Thursdays at 7. If this is your first time tuning into the latest lounge, thank you so much for coming on tonight or visiting tonight. Make sure that you tune in every week at 7 on Tuesday nights for the show. We always have a good guest. We always have somebody coming, and we always try to focus on educating, encouraging, and empowering women to live their best lives. So, like I said, tonight's show is not going to be any different. I have a wonderful guest that I'm going to be bringing on in just a second, and we're going to be talking about a subject I think that everybody can probably chime in on. So, here's one thing I want you to do. If you can find that post, it's on the latest Sound to Wonderlow page, and there should be a post, and there'll be a link in there to where you can join the show. And what I'll do right now is see, can I copy that? And I'll see if I can place it in the comments. So if you'd like to be part of tonight's show or you want to just tune in, jump in and kind of add to the conversation, bingo bango, there is the link so you can join in the show. So right now, let me go ahead and bring my guest in. Jump in and kind of add to the conversation. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Hi there.
Hey, can you your
There
your sound? There you go.
Yeah, sorry, I was sharing your
Okay.
Facebook Live on my page with my phone. So
Cool.
it's done.
That is perfect. All right. I was trying to actually, I noticed something, and y'all will notice in just a second. I was sitting here talking away for a good about 15, 20 seconds. I was not even on the air yet. I didn't hit the button. I was like, why is it not showing up on my phone? I'm trying to invite some people in, and why is it not coming up? And I realized I never hit the live button. So y'all missed my whole intro, and it was a really nice one. So what I'll play it at the end of the show. That way y'all get to see it either way. But thank you, Christian, for coming on tonight. I appreciate your time. So glad that you could I know that you are a busy woman. So
Thank you
so
for
glad
having
that,
me.
yeah. So tell folks a little bit about yourself and then we're going to get into our topic.
I'm Christian Reitnauer. I'm a certified health and wellness coach, certified personal trainer, and I have my master's in organizational leadership. Spent a long time in leadership, managerial roles in corporate America. So I'm passionate about helping professional women, typically parents, find their own personal version of health and wellness and well-being by prioritizing themselves so that they can fully show up for the people that they care about, the things that they care about, and just feel their best optimizing their lives.
Good. I know we'd had you. Well, we were trying to get you on one time before, and we had connection issues because we were doing the cooking show, and we're
Yes.
gonna have to bring you in again because I want you still to come on and talk about healthy eating and some things that we talked about then. But I will tell folks the premise for tonight's show is you made a post. It's probably been about 2 weeks ago now, and I read the post and it was about being a mother, and I can't remember word for word. I tried to find it again today and didn't have time, but I remember thinking, I bet over half of the women, pretty much more than half of the women that read that post felt the exact same way.
Yes, it got on my personal page. I just shared my business page post, and it got a big reaction. It was something to the effect of, "Your kids don't need a perfect mom; they need a happy mom."
Mm-hmm. That would be it. And I think a lot of times we've spent so much effort in trying to make sure that everybody around us is happy that we hadn't focused on our own happiness. And
Mm-hmm.
I told you when we were talking about the show, I said, well, let's just call it supermom syndrome, because basically that's what it is. We think that we're supposed to take care of everything and everybody all the time, and at the end of the day, we haven't really taken care of ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if can you see the background behind us? There's a bunch of supermoms back there.
Oh, really?
There's a bunch of supermoms in the background. But I
Oh,
just
that's so cute.
go ahead.
Oh, I said that's cute.
Mhm. But I was just thinking about that today, and I was like, how many times do you get up and you get yourself together as much as you can, and then the rest of the day is spent running, and either running with kids, running with husbands, running with somebody. You're taking care of family, and you really haven't slowed down to take care of yourself. Talk a little bit about how you deal with, because I know that you're a mother also. So talk a little bit about how you deal with your schedule.
So like you said, it's really common for moms especially to be running around all the time. And we find that women, and specifically mothers, don't just extend that to their kids or their significant others, even their other family members. But we really have a bad habit of putting everybody before ourselves, of stepping into that caretaker role, of even for people that we're not responsible for. And I'm really bad about it too. I find that I will overextend myself and then have to reel it back. One thing I do, I always see through my obligations, but just trying to check in with myself on a regular basis, get a temperature for how I'm feeling. Am I feeling overwhelmed? Am I feeling overextended? Am I showing up for my kids? And then the biggest piece that I really ask myself is this how I would want my kids to feel? Is this what I would want them to be doing when they're adults, So it is through just constantly reevaluating and checking in with myself. So sometimes I'm really good at it, and sometimes I'm not so good, because like I do wear a lot of hats, and my work schedule isn't just like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, which is great because I can take time off and do special things with the kids outside of that usual corporate schedule. But on the other hand, there are evenings when I'm training and I'm only gone for, an hour and a half. I'll run up to the gym, train somebody, and come back. But I really leave it up to them to tell me if they're feeling disconnected or if they're needing more personal time. So I think that answers your question. It's just through being intentional, managing my schedule, making sure that I'm checking in with myself and taking care of myself.
Yeah. Now I can remember, my kids are all grown now, so not so much as the strain and the running like I used to, but I can remember a school year where we have 4 kids.
Oof, yeah.
All of them were at a different school. So the boys were in the same school. See, the oldest was at high school, the boys was in middle school, and the youngest one was in elementary school.
Wow.
And it was during the time period we had all of the open houses going on. You had banquets going on, you had games going on, all these different things going on. And I can remember my kids being considerate enough to go, you don't have to come to everybody's event.
Yeah.
Go to this one and don't worry about mine for this time. Then come to mine next time. They would, because I think they would even see the frustration in my face with me trying to be everywhere and take care of and run for them, that they would go, no, mama, don't come to mine this time. Go to my daughter's, the other daughter's something, or go to the boys' thing, and then you can come to mine next time. And I would feel guilty because I couldn't be in all those places at one time. And I can remember my sons playing football, and me, I think the only game I missed when the youngest one played, especially, the only game I missed, I think I was in the hospital. I was sick because it was I must be at that football game every Friday or Thursday. I must be at every volleyball game for my daughter. I must be at every basketball game for my daughter. And it was just, I can remember days where I literally would sit on the side of the bed and cry because I was just tired.
Yeah.
But I couldn't, in my mind, my mom ran like that with me in school. So I thought, well, it's my job to make sure that I'm there for them the same way. So I would be exhausted, but I'm still going to get up and try to go. And I had to learn after crashing a couple of times, because when you crash a few times, you kind of figure out that maybe I can't be everywhere and do everything at one time. You have to slow down some. So how old are your kids, if you don't mind my asking?
They are 13 and 11, going on 14 and 12. So they are getting to an age, like my son's in wrestling right now. Fortunately, my fiance is going to pick him up this evening. But yeah, they are getting to an age where their schedules are conflicting more and more, and their activities are more time demanding, like more practices every week, things like that. So first, I actually want to commend you for raising such empathetic children, for them to be in tune with you enough and understanding enough even when you weren't with yourself.
Yeah.
So they were probably mirroring that.
They used to get on to me about not buying stuff for myself. We would go shopping and I would say, okay, everybody's gonna get something. And I would get stuff and I would carry it around in the store and then I'd put it back.
Mm-hmm.
Get what they needed. And I can remember we were in Walmart and I'd picked up something that I wanted and they didn't need anything, but in my mind, I'll sacrifice something I want to make sure they have something they want. And I got fussed at. The oldest one literally was like, look, every time we come in the store, you pick up stuff you want and then you put it back because you think we need stuff. We don't need anything. Just buy you something. And I thought, did she just fuss at me because I didn't buy myself something? And I started noticing that. And I hadn't caught it in all that time that I would put stuff back I wanted because I wanted to make sure they had whatever they wanted and needed. And they were like, no, Mama, we don't need anything. Buy you something sometimes. It's okay. So they were really, like you said, empathetic to what was going on. I think they actually caught it and understood it better than I did.
Well, I think kids are sponges and mirrors. So if they're doing that with you, it's likely that they're seeing you do that with others, them and others.
Well, I can remember when I was younger and being at home and my mom being the same way. And, a friend and I were talking one day about the different stuff we learned from our parents. Like you said, we're sponges and mirrors also. So the different stuff we learned from our parents. And I can remember thinking, I saw my mama do the same stuff. And because she never changed that, I thought that was what you're supposed to do as a mother. You're supposed to sacrifice. You're supposed to give up what you want. You're supposed to make sure that everybody else is taken care of. And it took my kids actually getting grown and being away for me to understand that I still have to take care of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It took me a long time to get that.
I think so. I have a chronic illness and I manage it with my health through experimenting over the years with different types of nutrition, exercise, how much activity is appropriate before, you get the limited returns. And so in that way, I've been really good about taking care of myself for a long time. Since I was 25, I had a seizure and that triggered it. But I have come to the realization that I can still do better by those check-ins because I did make eating healthy a priority and I did make exercising a priority and teaching the kids those behaviors and engaging them in activity with me, whether that's hiking, kayaking, stuff they can do and would still enjoy. But outside of that, I was really overextended. I was tired all the time, just like you said, really not pouring into myself in any other way. And they see that. And I want them to know that while they are my reason for breathing, that I will do anything and everything for them, at the end of the day, one day they will move out and I'll still have to live with me and I'll still have to live with my partner. And it's important for me to nurture not just my relationship with my kids, but my relationship with myself and with others. So that's one thing that I think I'm doing differently as a mother that I saw growing up, because I recognize that one day they're going to go out and have a life of their own. And again, it just goes back to what kind of life would I want them to live? I want them to have great connections in relationships and be able to identify what is a healthy relationship and healthy boundary and what isn't, and how to take care of themselves so that they can be great contributing members of society. And so for me, I just always try to go back to that. Like, what would I say to them when they're adults? What would I say to my best friend or to somebody I'm the biggest supporter of,
Understandable. And I think that's the key. I like the fact that you say you do a check-in with them to see if they feel there's a disconnect, that you keep up with that, and that you also have learned how to take care of you. And like I said, it took me my kids being grown and being out of the house for me to go, oh, I can go shopping now and buy me something and not feel guilty. Or, oh, I can go and do something I want to do without me feeling guilty. Or I can just be. I can just sit still and be quiet if I want to without feeling guilty, without that need or that feeling to get up and have to, be going somewhere for somebody or doing something for somebody. And I told my friend the other day, I said, I'm learning a very important word. And this is probably one of the most important words you could ever learn. I am learning how to say no.
Mm-hmm.
It has taken me a long time
Yeah.
to learn how to say no, or to say, I don't have the energy for that, or I'm working, focusing on stuff that I want to do and being able to follow through with it without worrying about taking care of all these other things for other people. So I'm learning how to finally say, you know what, I have to slow down. When I'm tired, it's okay for me to sleep. It's okay for me to sit down and rest. It's okay for me to stop for a few minutes. I was off work for a couple of weeks in November. And I was telling one of my coworkers, I said, you know what? I did something I never do while I'm at home. And she said, what? I said, I took a nap in the middle of the day. And she was like, you don't ever do. I said, I never do that. Unless I'm sick or I'm not feeling well, I'm up doing something all the time. And the other week I was sitting there and I realized, I think I was working on, I don't know, I was working on a lot of stuff. I had 3 different laptops I was on.
Oh, wow.
And I realized I was doing that. And I'm going, why are you doing 3 different projects at one time? Just stop. I closed everything down. I got my nice, comfy little blanket. I got on my couch and I went to sleep. And I
Wow.
felt good. I didn't feel guilty about slowing down and going to sleep. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make this a habit. Every so often, I'm just going to lay down and go to sleep.
Yes.
I just, because when I get in go mode, I'm in go mode. And it takes me a while before I calm down. But even though when the kids were at home, I was the same way. We were always doing something. We were volunteering. We were out. We were moving around. And I felt like that was what I was supposed to be doing, not knowing I was actually making myself sick at the time. Because I'm like you, I developed a chronic disease. And when it took over, and it slowed me down. And when I crashed, I crashed.
Yeah.
So I'm learning now. It's okay to rest. It's okay to slow down. It's okay not to feel like you have to save the world. It's okay not to feel like you got to go and do everything for your kids. Again, mine are grown, but that doesn't stop me from still wondering, can I help you with this or can I help you with that? Or even taking, keeping the grandkids so they can get some rest every once in a while.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So as an adult child, right? We all are. But I am always talking to my parents and asking them for help, advice, guidance. So your job as a mom doesn't really ever end. I think that it might change and different parents set up different boundaries. But I think that you're always going to be ready to be there for your kids at the drop of a hat. And that's taking up mental energy. So like you said, getting to the point where you're crashing, it is not good for anybody and it's detrimental to yourself long term. So when you're able to have that awareness, which you did eventually develop, then you're actually showing up better. I'm sure you have found now that when you're able to manage your chronic illness, then instead of just driving yourself into the ground and having a long, hard crash, you are able to do more in less time and still feel better.
Yep. And it's just about pacing. It's about, again, saying no.
And giving yourself grace.
And giving yourself grace. That's a sermon, guys.
Yes. That is the biggest piece. I think there are 3 things that really end up coming out in all of my coaching relationships with female clients who are professionals and parents. So that's not every client, but that's a big chunk of my clients. So number 1 is intention. feeling like they have intention with their days and how they're spending their time and being present. And by doing that, they can set boundaries, which it's hard for us because of our culture, because of our internal nature, possibly. But it's hard for us to say no because we are expected to say yes. I could get into that, but there are plenty of studies that support the expectations of women and saying yes when they're asked for help. And the fact that people think they're doing us a favor by asking us for help because they think that it'll make us feel good. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But so intention, boundaries, and then finally is that little voice inside and how we talk to ourselves in the grace and permission that we give ourselves. It does not align with our belief system, and nor does it align with how we would talk or project onto anybody else. So our best friend, a stranger on the street, even our worst enemy, we would not talk to and disparage in the way that we do us.
That's true. I think, go back to your point about the giving ourselves grace. Society dictates that we be everything to everybody, that we be this all loving creature who can accept and can take pretty much everything. Mother's gonna love you when nobody else loves you. Mama's gonna be there when nobody else is gonna be there. Mama's gonna run. Mama's gonna do. And I think we internalize it, and we get to a point where it's like we build up this thing to the point where when we don't meet that goal or we don't hit that particular perception of what a mother is, then the guilt hops in. Maybe I'm not a good mother because I didn't run and I didn't go here and I didn't do this and I didn't go. It's just a whole bunch of different things that we get into, asking ourselves, and we start questioning whether or not we're good parents, and we start feeling guilty because maybe I missed this game and maybe I couldn't come to this event, or maybe I couldn't do this. And I think, it doesn't help if you were raised by a person, and I didn't have this situation, but I know friends that were. If you were raised by a person who constantly criticizes your parenting skills anyway, and makes you feel that, well, I know that you're doing this much, but there's so much more you could be doing. There's so much you could be running more, you could be doing this more. And I think when we get into that area in our heads, that's what makes us feel guilty. Because now I feel, think about years and years ago when mothers could still be at home, you could raise your kids and you didn't have to work, because back then money was okay if it was one parent working, the husband was working, and the mom was in the house. Well, we're not in that era anymore.
Right.
And we're in that era where now it takes mostly both parents have to work. So the mother is no longer the person that's in the household with the children on a daily basis or all day long. She's not at everybody's beck and call anymore because she has to work. You're a working mom, I'm a working mom. I think almost every mother I know is a working mom. And I know some that have several jobs, not just one. And we start getting into that thing of, well, I can't make this game because I have to work on this night, or I can't make this because I have to be here. And when all those obligations start getting stacked on top of each other, then that woman is left feeling guilty as though she's not a good mother, when in fact she actually is a good mother, but she just can't be everywhere all the time and, in every different situation. So there's so many different pieces and parts to this thing, man. It's crazy.
Yes, I think you brought up a really good point, is the societal expectation hasn't changed, even though lifestyle has. And to actually add on that, mothers today who are typically working full-time jobs are also spending an average of 4 to 6 hours more per week with their kids than stay-at-home mothers did through the 70s. Now, there are a lot of layers to that too, right? Safety, parents being more involved in activities, coaching their kids' teams, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when you look at the total hours invested, is not just our 40-hour work week, plus all of our drive time, commuting back and forth to work if you don't work from home. And then on top of that, we're still spending an extra 4 to 6 hours outside of that with our kids than stay-at-home mothers did, when we're judging ourselves versus this idyllic mother that just never existed.
That's true. Now I am surprised that it shows that we're spending more times with our kids now than back then. That is a little bit surprising. So that actually made me feel better.
Yes, yeah, it should. I think that
Yeah,
that's
that makes me feel better.
when you know the facts, like, and when you hear other people speak out loud, these thoughts that I'm beating myself up for being a bad mom. I'll give you a perfect example. For me, on Monday, my
Mm-hmm.
daughter texted me from school, asked if we could go to the Christmas parade. We've been going every year except for COVID when they didn't have it,
Mm-hmm.
since she was a baby, right? And of course I said yes. Totally forgot that I already had a client scheduled for 6 o'clock, and that's when the parade was. So there's just no way for me working around it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, just like your kids, my daughter was like, that's totally fine. I understand. But I had a lot of internal drama all day long waiting for her to get home so I could deliver the bad news that I'm such a bad mom, and said yes and didn't manage my schedule weeks in advance and plan out the Christmas parade, right? But when she was like, okay, I understand, that was a reality check for me. Again, like, it's not a big deal. They just want to be with us. They just want us to listen to them tell us about their day.
Honestly, I think they used to be the highlight of my day. But it's funny when you have 4 kids and all 4 kids are telling you what happened during the day. And they used to laugh because I could answer each one of them. And sometimes they'd all be talking at once. And I'd go, yeah, that was a good thing that you did. Oh, I'm glad that you enjoyed that. Oh, that was nice. And I could answer all 4 of them. I was like, how do you do that? I was like, because I hear all 4 of y'all. And I'm trying to make sure that I pay attention to what everybody is saying. But that was part of the joy for me, was to sit at the table with them during dinner. How was your day? What went on in your day? And for them to just sit there and talk about all the stuff that they experienced at school, or whatever was going on. So I thought that was just, to me, that was, I guess I didn't think of it as a check-in back then, but that was our check-in with each other, for me to have a chance to kind of comment on whatever went on with them.
Oh, I was just going to say, actually, those types of conversations and eating your meals together promotes emotional and mental development. Typically, kids who do get to engage in that on a semi-regular basis have better grades at school. And then finally, they are less likely to develop childhood obesity. So, yes. And it's not something that you have to do every single day, but just getting those check-ins with your kids. It's not taking them on these big fancy vacations. It's not showing up to every single practice and every single game, right? It's spending 20, 30 minutes with your kids 4 or 5 days a week and just giving them your undivided attention. That's what's going to shape their memories. That's what's going to shape who they come out to be and what their expectations for themselves are in adulthood.
That's awesome. Well, we spent enough time around the dinner table, so I'm hoping that, and they won't tell me if it worked or not. But you know what? That's something that even with the grandkids, now we have 6 grandkids. And I try to make sure that when they come and stay with us, and they spend the weekend with us, that we have just pure talk time. Talk time is we sit on the floor in a circle. Everybody gets to say how they're feeling. Everybody gets to tell me what happened at school that week, or whatever is going on with them. Even the 3-year-old gets in on it because she is just she's 3 going on 40. So anything. So she has stories too. She has her own little situations going on too. But I try to do that with them now too, just to give them that chance to say, and they don't call me grandma, they call me Faye. So they'll sit there and Faye, this happened in school, and they're all talking and they're excited about it. And it gives them a chance to bond with each other. They bond with us. We also make sure that I do a little crafting thing with them, just something to kind of give them a time to be artistic, to kind of let loose and create however they want to create. And we talk over all these things. The oldest grandkid is 10, so they range from 3 years old to 10 years old. And it's amazing. We talk about family history. We talk about everything. Are you upset about anything? Did anything happen in school that made you upset? How are you doing in your classes? Are your grades okay? Do you need help with anything? And just to sit there and talk with them, it's like we did that with our kids, and it's so funny when you get grandkids. You've learned some things by the time you get to the grandkid stage. So now it's things that I wish I had been able to slow down a little bit more and do with my kids. That now I try to make sure I do with the grandkids.
Mm.
And that's the big thing about sitting and just talking to them and just letting them express themselves. Our kids got a chance to do that also, but I think we do it more so with the grands.
Yeah.
So, but just
Sharon,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, Sharon brought up a good point. It's
Mhm.
not just time spent in each other's presence, but being present like you are,
Yeah.
active mindfulness and engagement. So I think that when it comes to like feeling like you have to be super mom, you don't get to do this anymore, but bringing the goodies to school and throwing the best birthday
Mhm.
parties and all of that, and you spend so much time orchestrating that you're not actually focused on your child, you're not engaging with your child. So
Mhm.
that's a big thing for me too, is just remembering to reel back and what kind of experience is this creating for the kid. And then when they see us doing that, they place that same expectation on themselves. If they see us as parents expecting ourselves to be perfect, whether we express that we desire that of them or not, they're
Mhm.
going to struggle with perfectionism, with self-doubt, with a negative talk cycle. So I think that it just constantly comes back to not trying to compare ourselves to any other parent. We know our kids, every child is different. So I'm sure that you have a slightly different relationship with each of your kids because they all
Mhm.
had different needs growing up. So that's something that I am always trying to remind myself and my clients of as well, that it doesn't matter whatever the Joneses are doing, right, in
Mhm.
their
Mhm.
household and as parents. All that matters is knowing yourself and knowing your kid and knowing what you're wanting to achieve as like your favorite life with them, and then do that. Just be present. But yeah, just talking to your kids goes a long way. And it
Mhm.
gets you off the hook of a lot of stuff. If you can talk to them for 10 minutes, then they don't care if you showed up to wrestling practice.
Mhm. Well, we had, like I said, they were really sweet growing up. They would just go, "Mama, you can't make it. That's okay. Go to so and so's different thing this time." And my oldest daughter, was very active in school, and she'd have programs and tennis matches and all kind of stuff going on. And the boys might have something because they were in middle school at the same time. She'd go, "No, no, no. Last week you came to my event. This week you go to theirs, or you came to mine the other day. Go to theirs this time." So they were very understanding and thinking about, well, wait a minute, Mama can't be everywhere at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I would still come home in the evening and go, "Oh my God, I failed them because
Yep.
I wasn't able to be here and do this and that." And they would be like, "No, you came to my stuff this time. You went to hers next time. Cheshire might have some next time." So it was just this little trade off. And really the negative self talk, it was me doing it to myself.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
it took me a long time, I guess, after, like I said, they got grown and I had time to actually settle down and think. They were not the ones complaining. It was
Yeah.
me. It was
That's
me
like
that
that's
had
a
that wore the cape. It wasn't them. It was me.
mhm. That's something that I do ask my clients when they're assessing what they want out of their lives, where that's coming from. Who's expecting this of you? And they'll go, what? I'm like, this unrealistic goal that you have that you just feel like you're not achieving.
Mm-hmm.
Who's expecting that of you?
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, ooh, nobody.
I
Literally nobody's expecting that of you.
had a friend she sent an email out the other day, and it was I think the title of it was, "Are you your biggest hater?"
Hmm.
And as soon as I read the title of the email, I went, "Oh my God, oh, this is about me." And because we are our worst critics most of the time.
Uh-huh.
And you get in your
Absolutely.
mind that you have to do all these things, and you put this unbelievable list of checkoffs that you gotta, oh, I gotta do 17 things today, which is impossible. You're not gonna get all 17 done. And then at the end of the day, if by any chance you accidentally forgotten, oh, this kid needed cookies for this particular party,
Mm-hmm.
or you were supposed to take this one here or this one, and you forget anything, and you could have done 16 of the things on the list, but if you miss that one thing, then you just think you're a horrible person. And I've done it to myself before, where I've built it up to the point where I can't make a mistake. I can't mess up. I can't miss anything. If I miss something, then I'm just a horrible mother, and the world would just not exist the way it should if I don't get it right. And I think a lot of women do that. We put, especially if you've been used to achieving things.
Mm-hmm.
We even start looking at motherhood the same way. When you've been used to achieving things, and you make that one little misstep, and like I said, you could very well have, like you did, it was a pure scheduling thing. You knew that you wanted to go, but you forgot about the other thing. It's nothing, not the world is not going to stop spinning. It'll be a parade next time, but you'll start thinking, oh my God, how could I have not took, and I'll be that person that'll just be over in the corner beating myself up about it. And the kid is like, oh, well, we go do something else.
Yes.
No, they go
Yes.
on business. It's just us that'll be over there suffering, thinking, oh my God, I'm just horrible. What kind of mother am I? Oh my God, and take my child. And see, that kind of stuff is the things I think that a lot of women deal with when I say
Yeah.
about the guilt part of it.
Absolutely. I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said that suffering from that internal dialogue, self-imposed suffering, the things that we're saying to ourselves. And it's funny also that you mentioned if you had a task list of 16, 17 things you want to do, and you got all but one done, you would focus on the one that you didn't do. But
Mhm.
in practice with my clients, they set goals every single week. They're self-generated. So they have 3-month goals that we create at the beginning of the coaching program. And then
Mhm.
from there, we build weekly goals that get incrementally more difficult each week, right? But if I ask them to go through their goal experience with me, first I say start with your best experience. So we want to already start framing with a positive instead of a negative. Not what didn't you do, but what went well. What did you learn from it? It might have not turned out perfectly, but no matter what, you learned something from it. So that's the first thing, is just
Mhm.
trying to frame in a positive way instead of
Mhm.
immediately looking for things to blame ourselves for or to discount ourselves for, to say how we're not showing up. If I were to make a list right now of how I'm not showing up and make a list of how I am showing up, I
Mhm.
know which one would prevail, right? I know that I'm showing up for my kids in the best way I possibly can. And I know that they're thriving because of that. It's not perfect. And I mean, life just isn't going to be perfect. But starting to change our go-to mentality to a positive one, frame it in a positive light. The other thing is that full goal review. If you actually take a step back and look at it from a micro standpoint, when you can't see the forest through the trees. So
Mhm.
if you take a step back and you look at that list and you see that only one thing is done, if you were to grade yourself, you'd give yourself an A, right?
Mhm.
So that's another big part of it, is being able to just get outside of our own head, outside of our own dialogue, and take that macro view.
And that's it. Now that I love that, because the biggest thing is, like you said, is changing how we frame it. Because you're
Mm-hmm.
right. If you start off with, oh my, like I said, the 17 things, but you got 16 done. But if you start off with that, oh my God, I didn't get this one thing done, it's almost like the other 16 don't exist. So like
Exactly.
you said, it's just how you frame it, and going, oh man, I got 17 things on the list. I got 16 done. Way to go. And it
Mm-hmm.
is, it's totally framing, because I told you I've started with that. Oh my God, I didn't do the one thing on the list, and I'm
Yep.
going, but you got 16 other things done. You just mix that one thing. And it's not like that one thing was the most important thing, and it can happen tomorrow. But
Mm-hmm.
again, it's just like you said, it's framing. It's how you look at it and how you think of it. It's the glass full, glass empty thing, half full, half empty thing. And I tend to look at the glass majority of the time as being half full rather than half empty.
Yeah.
But it's just
Unless it's yourself.
exactly, unless it's
Yes.
me. Yep.
And that also reminds me of like good in, good out. The more you surround yourself with positive influences, positive content. I can tell you how I have curated since becoming self-employed. I mean, using social media as my primary mode to get new clients. I engage in a different way, but I also follow different content. And it went from 4 years ago where I was seeing a lot of political stuff and I mean, maybe memes that are funny, but the thing that I'm consuming most, right, on social media, that news feed. If I were to pick up my, like here, someone got me this for my birthday the other day. It's just a year of Zen calendar. So now starting in 2022, every day I'll start my day with like one positive quote. I have an affirmations app that sends push notifications around whatever areas are important to me in my life, which is positivity and success. So as you start to surround yourself with good, positive thinking, both in the people that you're around, the content that you consume, the things that you see, it will start to change that internal voice and that internal dialogue. So I think that that's a big one too. A lot of my clients will use sticky notes. I write notes on my mirror sometimes in the bathroom so that I have to see it. But whatever you need to be forced seeing positivity and seeing the good side of things, then I'm not saying that that's just perfect and then we're all going to be nice to ourselves and it's going to be wonderful all the time, but it helps. I can tell you that my negative self-talk cycle over the years has changed and become less and less frequent and less negative and disparaging through intentional change.
Now, on a daily, what I started doing is I just randomly ran across a video the other week, and I'm trying to think, it was 9 things that rich people do to be successful, or something in that area. And I think the very first one he said is the one that really got my attention more than anything, and that's that spending that 1 hour a day learning something new. And I thought, 60 minutes. You have 24 hours in a day, 60 minutes. Learn something new. Read a new article, read a book, read a couple of pages of something, listen to motivational speaking. And for all of last week, I found me a motivation interview. I work in an area where I do a training with motivational interview, and that's totally different. That's on my brain because I got another training coming up. But motivational speaking is what I was trying to say. So all last week, every day, I listened to a motivational speech. I read a new article on something. I studied something that I wanted to know more about. And I noticed that by Friday, there's a whole nother conversation going on in my head now. And I have a friend that's in Memphis, and God bless her soul right now. She just lost her father a couple of days ago, so I'm praying for her. She wrote a book, I think it was at the beginning of this year, and hers is all positive affirmations. And I took some of them out, and I have them on my wall in my office. So every day when I walk in here, there's something positive for me to read. And I noticed that when I keep things like that in front of me, and I have, my daughter-in-law told me about the app, so I had an app on my phone also. So when I read the things I get in my app on my phone, I have a church member who religiously, I love her to death. Her ministry is, this sounds weird, her ministry is texting. That is a whole ministry. This lady texts me something, an affirmation, a scripture, a prayer, something every single day. I have 3 friends that do that. So I get scriptures every day from 3 different people. I get my affirmations from my friend every day. I get the ones on my phone, and I also listen to motivational speaking presentations every day. And I noticed that my thinking is changing. It was changing anyway, but now I can notice it change a little bit faster. And yes, Sharon, positive affirmations are important. Yep. Surround yourself with positivity. You're right about that.
Yeah. I love that you're doing it communally, that you're getting that from other women, because I think that that also helps us to feel less like we're on our own, you know, or I'm the only one doing this or experiencing this. So I love to hear that you're not just going out and seeking it out for yourself, but there are people who are bringing it to you and you can share that.
And it's a beautiful thing in the fact that I have one friend, she'll text me every morning, good morning, have a wonderful day. And when you wake up and you read something right off the bat that tells you to have a good day,
Mm-hmm.
you choose to have a good day. It sounds funny, but I don't think a lot of people understand that you can choose how your day is going to go. You can
Right.
wake up grumpy, you can wake up feeling however you want to feel, and that'll carry you all the way through your day if you're not careful. But if you wake up with a spirit of gratitude and for gratefulness, and just wait, and it sounds funny to just wake up happy, but you can make a choice to do that. And when you choose that and you go through your day, it is so much easier for you to get things done. It is so much easier. Your day just goes by better.
Yes. I think that intention
Yep.
setting, you're spot on with. Christine said, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. And I think that's
Yep.
so true. I say that about one thing of many things that I'm so
Mhm.
grateful to my parents for. My dad just came over and helped me work in my backyard the other day, and he stopped and asked if I needed to share anything, basically, I guess, air grievances with my childhood.
Mhm.
And I was like, no, if anything, I want to share that. My parents never spoke cant into me.
Hmm.
They didn't, my need to achieve is not based on them. They didn't have like unrealistic expectations of us as kids, but
Mhm.
they fully supported any dream we had. If we said we wanted to learn something, they'd be like, okay, you can learn it. If we said we wanted to try a new activity, they'd be like, give it all you got. And because of that my parents poured into me, I
Mhm.
truly do not think there's anything that I can't do if I didn't want to do it badly enough.
Mhm.
Um, but that goes back to what Christine said, if you think you can, you can. And then you brought up intention. And like I said, that's a big common thread in my coaching with busy professionals. But
Mhm.
so a good practice is waking up in the morning and setting your intention for the day. How do you want to feel and how do you want to show up? And it might vary based on your schedule. I show up differently as a mom, as a partner, as a health coach versus personal trainer, right?
Mhm.
So and there are days where I want to feel energetic, and there may be days where I just want to feel a sense of contentness. So that's a good practice to wake up and start your day with setting intentions. What are my intentions for this day? Do I want to be high achieving? Do I want to be present? Do I want to learn something new? And then it sets the tone because goals drive attention. So
Mhm.
if you set even that goal for the day, that intention setting in the morning, then it's going to make you subconsciously work towards that goal.
Mhm.
Uh, and then the gratitude journaling is also a really good practice that a lot of my clients have had success with, or journaling in general.
Yeah.
But practicing gratitude really can highlight that's something that I do with my kids. I drive them to school 3 days a week. And in the morning, I
Mhm.
always ask them a couple of questions. One, what are you most looking forward to today? And then that lets them get into the positive again, not what are you dreading today? What
Exactly.
obstacles do you have to overcome today? But
Mhm.
what's something that's going to be a highlight for you and why? So that they can be tapped into that motivation. But then also what's something nice you can do for someone else. Or sometimes if I feel like my kids beating themselves up more than usual, or having a hard time, they go through these emotional spurts, just like
Mhm.
that's the childhood experience, hormonal changes, friend changes, things like that. So sometimes that might be what's something nice you're going to do for yourself today.
Yeah.
But
And I think as mothers, now bring that's the kid side, but I think it applies to mothers also. What can we do today to make ourselves feel better? What can we do
you're
today
right.
to pat yourself on your back and say, hey, you know what? I killed it yesterday. Let me kill it again today. What can I get up and do? Because in that taking care of everybody else, we do have to still take care of ourselves. And I think now, again, I've gotten more cognizant of taking care of me, of
Mm-hmm.
making sure that when I get up in the morning, and it's weird. I'll get up in the morning and I'll sing. Now everybody don't hear me sing. I don't want everybody to hear me sing, but I get up in the morning and I hum. And it's funny because I can remember my grandmother used to do that and it used to drive me crazy because I'm a sleepyhead. I love to sleep. And she'd get up in the morning and she'd hum the loudest hymn she could possibly find. And I'd be, why is she so loud? Well, I noticed that on days where I'm trying to be intentional about having a good day, I get up and I hum a gospel song. I'll do it every doggone morning. That's my way to the bathroom. That's me in the bathroom, taking my shower, getting dressed. Sometimes I'm humming the same tune all the way till I get in the car. I've hummed it all the way to work before. And once I'm in that mindset, it's like it pumps me up, gets me motivated, it makes me feel good about the day, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to knock out whatever I got to get done that day. And I think, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that you're recognizing, you're naming the physiological benefits, but singing actually really, and I would imagine humming has the same effect, but it releases a lot of happy hormones. For you, it's also a part of your morning routine. So if you weren't doing that, you would feel off kilter. But it sounds like you have found something that helps get those happy hormones pumping through your brain and through your body, and it's waking you up and it's making you optimistic and it's brightening your day.
Well, that helps me get my day started, and it helps. I noticed something else. If I get into a stressful situation during the day, I start humming. I start that same song again until I get back into my okay, I'm fine. And it's like, yep, and I get back centered and I get back in a good headspace. But I'll hum that song until I get back to that place because once, if something happens during the day, and every once in a while, of course, there's always going to be curveballs throughout your day, things that don't work out perfectly, and it's going to be a little stress or whatever. But I noticed that if I make sure that I come back to that song, or it could be a different one, or whatever, I'll start humming the song. And once I start humming that song, I get calmed down, I get centered again, I get back in a good headspace, and the rest of the day, I can blow it out the water. I'm good then. But I've learned different techniques over time how to get me, back together.
That's what I was just about to ask you. What are some techniques that you found as a mom and as a grandma that help you recenter and release the guilt, even if it's like an in the moment stress reliever, or if it's something that you can do to mentally prepare yourself for the day? What do you like to do?
The first thing is the humming part, and it doesn't matter what song. I just find one and I stick with it. I've learned how to take mental vacations where I have this app on my phone. For 15 seconds, you breathe. Believe it or not, we don't breathe. When you're stressed, you're not breathing. When you're upset, you're not breathing. When anything gets thrown at you that's not expected, you stop breathing. So I've learned how to sit still for 15 seconds, sometimes 30, and just do nothing. Clear my mind, breathe for a little while, think about what's going on, calm myself down. And once I do that, I'm centered again. I always wear my Fitbit. So a lot of times I'll just get up and walk in place and do 250 steps. Or I'll walk around the office, or I'll go down and walk up and down the hall at work. But I'll get up and move around because I noticed that if I'm moving also, it starts to calm me down and I feel better and I can get centered again and I can get back in a good headspace. I think everybody's figured out by now I love to cook. So if it's a really stressful day, then that's probably the day you're going to get the best gourmet meal you ever had. Because I'm serious. I'm going in the kitchen and I treat my kitchen like it's a lab. I swear I'm a scientist. I'm in the kitchen going, let's put a dash of this, a little of this. Let's see how this goes. Let's taste a little of this. Well, butter here, this, that. And that calms me down. And I can think through how to create a new recipe. I can think through how to create a new dish. And once I'm in that area, in that headspace, I'm good. You can throw anything at me and I can handle it then. And when the grandkids are here, the crafting with them actually helps to calm me down. It's relaxing to sit there and, oh my God, I love for them to paint. So I make sure that they have little things they can paint, and I buy them little kits they can use to paint. So I love to watch them paint, or I sit there and paint with them. Now, if I'm here by myself and I feel anxious or I feel kind of, just, I don't know, every once in a while you get a little bit of gloomy, a little bit of doom,
Mhm.
I'll get up and I'll paint. I'll make my own pictures or whatever, or I'll draw, or I'll sit down and I'll journal. And it's probably a good 50 journals grab with someone. Because every week, if I go shopping and I find a really pretty one, I'll buy it. I have three
Mhm.
brand new ones I hadn't even got to yet, just because I keep finding them and they're pretty and I just buy them.
Yes.
But I'm going to fill them up eventually. But just little stuff like that is what helps me kind of breathe and kind of center myself. If I'm upset about something, I think I learned this in third grade. Write a letter. If you're about upset with a person, if you're upset about a situation, write it out. Write down what upset you, what's got you upset. And a lot of times, the weird thing is that you'll realize that you'll actually come up with a solution to the issue.
Mhm.
And it's not as big as you thought it was. But I'll start just writing, and sometimes it ends up being a short story. That's how long it is. But I'll just start writing, and once I do that, and it's like I've released whatever that anger was. I've released whatever that anxiousness was. But those are the things that I kind of do to keep me sane, to keep me on the good side of things. What are some of the things that you do?
So like you, I like to create, this is inverted. So if you see that tapestry hanging behind me, I did that. I do macrame, and that is good because it's utilizing different parts of your brain. So what I find really interesting in all of the things that you like to do, they're
Mm-hmm.
activating different centers of your brain. And so you're getting something different out of it. But the common thread is that you're recognizing that you don't like how you're feeling or whatever energy you're carrying around with you. And you stop by engaging in something that occupies your mind, whether it is journaling, reading, coloring, painting, walking, even just stopping and breathing, which all of it, if you, the Apple Watch, it's so funny. My clients tell me all the time, and my watch does it too, but it checks your heart rate
Mm-hmm.
and your pulse. So it will be like, hey, did you know if you just take 1 minute to breathe, you'll get all. So if you have an Apple Watch, that is really helpful because it's monitoring you for you. But yes, so I like to create. I do love to exercise. I like to be outdoors. I live out in the country, and sometimes I will just go lay on my back patio, close my eyes, and do a narrow awareness practice, which is where I check in on just a couple of my senses to really hyper focus so that I can't have the intrusive thoughts or feelings or anxiety. But I'll start with how I feel, my
Mm-hmm.
physical sensation, not inside, but from the outside. So, do I feel cold on my back? Is the wind blowing? What side is the sun on my body? And once I check in with the physical sensation from my head to my toe, then I'll go and listen to what I hear, start identifying what I hear. And at first, I just hear maybe wind, maybe a car. I live in the middle of nowhere, so there's not a lot of traffic. Occasionally I hear a car. But when I start to really calm down and hyperfixate on what I'm hearing, well,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll realize that I can hear different bugs chirping from different directions, and I can start to recognize that some things are more distant from me than others.
Mm-hmm.
And that is probably my number one, like recentering practice.
Okay. I have to try that.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. It's kind of like, I guess you could call it a mini meditation. You don't have to get
Mm-hmm.
as deep as you need to in meditation, but you
Mm-hmm.
still get all of the physiological benefits.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That sounds good. Well,
Mhm.
Ladybug, we've talked an hour. It didn't
Yeah.
feel like we did. It went kind of fast. I want you to tell everybody what you do and how they can get in contact with you for your business.
So I am a certified health and life coach, certified personal trainer. I work with clients one-on-one who want to become a healthier version of themselves. And I used to say help you become your best self, but now I say help you become your favorite self, because best is just nonsense. It's not sustainable. And what I help people do is find a way to live their favorite life and be their favorite versions of themselves in a way that is sustainable, in a way that is tied into their value system, to their motivators, to their lifestyle now. And then I also teach them how they can modify throughout the months and years to continue to grow and change with them. So if anybody here is feeling stressed out, overextended, like they have had successes and failures and ebbs and flows of feeling good, both physically, mentally, emotionally, then reach out to me on social media, hotspringshealthcoach.com, or even my personal profile. Like, I will answer in any way. You can find me on Google.
Okay. Well, good. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Great conversation as always. Like I said, we'll have to get you back on because I want you to really come on and talk about the health coach part a little bit more. We're getting ready to go into the new year after we eat all this food for Christmas.
I know.
Me and some other people. So we're gonna need some encouragement at the first of the year to kind of get ourselves back on track. I'm actually in this group on through our insurance at work right now called Real Appeal, and I'm using it. So it's actually working pretty good for me. I've lost about I've lost about 10 pounds. So I'm good. I'm happy with it. So it's working, and hopefully I'll get to my favorite self. My favorite self was a size 12, so I need to get back to my size 12. So
yeah.
I ain't that far from it, but still, I need to get back to my favorite size 12. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. As always, you're always welcome to come. If you have another topic or something else you want to come on and talk about, you always just let me know. And you are welcome to come on anytime. So thank you, Sharon. I'm glad. Thank you. I love this. The Christine DeMayo. I don't know. I think I'm saying your last name right. I hope so. But thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for commenting. We appreciate that. As always, make sure you go to the Facebook page, the Wonderlow, the Ladies Lounge Wonderlow, Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you hit the subscribe and the little bell so that you get the notifications when there's a new video. Come back Thursday night. Thursday night we'll be in Mayro's Cafe, and I will be showing you how to put together a Christmas drink and dessert bar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it will be a little bit of everything on there. So make sure you come back. Oh, great. Sharon says she's 8 pounds down and working on a few more. Me too, baby. We right there together. We're going to get it done. We're going to get it done in a timely fashion, and we're going to get to be our favorite self. So I love it. So again, thank you so much, Christian. I appreciated you coming on. Thank you for the conversation. Have a good rest of the night and take care.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, y'all. Thank you for another great show. I'm glad that you all were able to tune in. I hope that you got some information that you can use. Share the show. You can always go back on the page on the Ladies Lounge Wonderlow on Facebook and like and share and follow. And again, like I said, catch us on YouTube and make sure that you subscribe to that page and that you hit the little subscribe and that you hit the little bell so you'll know when new videos are posted. Again, I will see y'all Thursday night in Mayro's Cafe Live. We'll be doing a Christmas drink and dessert bar. So you don't want to miss that. So please make sure you tune in. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of the night and see you later. Bye.